Madeline, it's fun to hear you talk. You just have such great business understanding that you're just
I
teaching
know,
all of us.
I know, I'm just crazy, but this is just huge. Brandon, this is huge. I can't even imagine.
We're recruiting help.
Right, seriously.
We are recruiting help.
But you're behind your programming and stuff conceptually. This just makes my head spin because you guys are small
We are small.
and this is huge.
Well,
Most organizations who have huge software have, you guys are amazing. It makes my eyes water. It gives me a headache even thinking of the program.
one of the things that's kind of cool about it is we've ran this thing without running major debt. So it's shoestring budget. This is garage stuff.
Well,
So-
a lot of the good softwares come from garage scenarios.
Yeah.
Because you perfected it and moved along the way, but it's amazing. The user interface, you'll keep working on that, you know, but my biggest complaint about a lot of software that I teach, because I hear my students, it looks all real neat, looks really pretty, but it's really tacky, cumbersome, and, even Microsoft listens to no one. I mean, I have sent probably 8 or 9, collectively as business teachers, fix this. This would be so easy to program. Fix it. They don't do a thing. Never do a thing. They set their own ground. They want you either reach their ground or go away because they don't really care about you. I listen to you talk about this company asked for this company asked for this. I mean, that's huge in this market, in this world we live in. People don't do that anymore.
There are literally millions that have been put into this program from internal and external pieces to build it up as sort of a community type project.
This is a world. This is a true cloud scenario.
This is, and that's what kind of makes it a little bit different, but we're trying to kind of help that to happen.
Difficult to know how to market, I'm sure, and your head screams a little bit because you almost don't know how to make this, how to spread the word.
So one of the things that you mentioned earlier that I love, you said, this would be so cool if there was a custom interface for this industry so they were speaking their language. That's going to come. And it'll ride on top of that engine. So Atlas is kind of that engine, and then your trimming and how you want to tweak out your body, that's...
Frosting will just be the user interface that simplifies because people get afraid of big. They do.
Correct.
You teach Photoshop elements versus Photoshop. People love Photoshop elements even though basically it's the same thing. They hate Photoshop because it just doesn't ever become really natural, plus it's cumbersome.
It's meant for that high level tweaking.
It's meant for people who live on that 24/7.
Yep.
So when you can get to that point, that'll market it incredibly for you. But right now, everything's there. I mean, and I've seen the side, like you said, that I didn't understand as well, the ins and the outs and the terminology that you use, and to see how it's tying in with all the accounts. Live and searchable is an understatement.
I think it works. It has been a little bit of a head spinner, but it's been fun. You're going to get a kick out of this, okay? So I know you've already seen this. If you're just sitting here chilling, interfacing graphic, this is a result. If you mix these pieces together, you can get interface. You really can. But that's just such a... It doesn't even look like it's anything, but literally that's loaded. That's loaded.
That's where your last 10 or however many years have given you the ability to see this picture.
Yeah, that's what we're starting to see develop. Okay, Shannon, what were some of those tasks and where did we want to go? And then we'll make sure that we can do it so that everybody understands what's going on.
Okay, the 2 tasks we discussed that we wanted to go back to was a scenario like at the lunch area where you're working with someone, put that on pause, help other customers, and then go back to that. And then we wanted to go over returns and also in that area it's returns, discounts, trades, refunds. Okay,
so those are all on the invoice side. Are you okay if we switch from POs to invoices? Okay, great. What we're going to do is we're going to talk theory for just a quick second, okay? Alrighty, so I'm a customer. Here's the scenario, okay? I'm a customer. I go in through a lunch line, but I end up wanting to pay for 5 different people. So technically, I have 5 people here, okay? But I want to pay 1 ticket, okay? But what if, as they're building this ticket, what if other people are coming in between that? How do we run that scenario? I want to take the whole bill. It's going to end up being $50 or whatever, okay? All of us are going to get our stuff. We just did it just today for lunch, okay? But in between that, they're cycling through other people. How would you do that inside of Adilas? Let's get some ideas. We know we're right here, right?
Could you start to build the invoice and then save it as a quote so it holds it, and then you could go back each time and start it again and then just keep saving as a quote?
Okay, correct.
Well, you know, but she made a placeholder, and then she could pop back in there every time she wanted to do
I mean,
something.
unless we click checkout, right, it can play in the background. Is that safe to let it play in the background?
Absolutely, okay. The answer is right here, what we were just talking about, okay? Customer comes in, we create the shopping cart, okay? And then basically, anytime we need to, we can hit save. What it does is it drops it into this little bucket, okay? Then we say restore to cart when the next person comes through. If that's attached to that ticket, we play some more and we save it. That's why I drew a line here. We're literally going back and forth, as many times as we need to. This same scenario, what if you actually had a party that went to a resort and they wanted to set up a tab for their whole week that they were there, okay? You could technically even do something like this. Hey, I'll just build you a whole invoice. You came through. Instead of creating a cart and doing it like this, you could actually say invoice. Okay, would you like to pay for this whole thing? It looks like you owe me this much. They pay the bill, and we spread it throughout the rest of the pieces. There's multiple ways you could do it, okay? Does that make sense, how that's slightly different?
Such a thing as an open purchase order.
Okay, we're dealing on this side. Invoices, quotes, shopping carts, customers, and we're kind of pulling pieces in and out. Okay?
So I know one time too, when we went to the herb shop down in St. George, we actually came in every single day, and we just kept adding things to our tab. So it was like putting on an account, putting on an account, putting on an account. Same type of thing, right?
Okay, correct. So basically, that's short-term accounts receivable. Okay, it's a piece of cake, and I literally can track it down to the T depending on how I physically want to do that. Okay, if I'm worried about my inventory and having it walk in and out of the area, like if it's a short-term thing, one lunch, I have 5 people coming through, I'm going to probably use a quote and go back and forth between the shopping cart and the quote, restoring it to cart. And then when I'm finally done, it's going to actually update inventory. So technically, for that 10-minute space of time, my inventory is going to be out of whack because technically, 4 people already walked out that have bottles of juice and this and this and this. My inventory is going to be out for 10 minutes. But guess what? Then I'm going to wrap it all into one nice little package called an invoice, and they pay for it, and that whole thing will be there. Okay? So for 10 minutes, it's kind of out of whack. That's super short term. I would use a quote in that scenario.
Especially when you consider that the old way of doing it, your inventory was out of whack for who knows how long.
Okay, correct. So if you're going every single day to the same herbal shop and they're like, you know what, you can pay me at the end, what you're going to do is each day you're going to create them an invoice. Here's your invoice on account. And you just basically shove it. What it does is it goes like this. Look what we called this right here. An invoice shoves into here if it's not paid. We call it AR, customer waiting room, which is accounts receivable is the technical term. But what it is it's a space of time when there's something that's still missing. I am owed some money. Somebody owes me something. Okay? So we technically, all we do is we virtually park it. They're not physically here, but it's a concept. Cool, just hang out in the waiting room. Oh, I know that you're there. We've already got some stuff going. We'll be back. Okay? So what happens if you go 3 days to your herbal shop, day 1, day 2, day 3, you were supposed to go day 4 to pay, and all of a sudden somebody got sick, and you weren't able to go on day 4, okay? Well, technically, it could be a week later, you could call them up and be like, hey, I'm sorry, we meant to come in yesterday, but family emergency, et cetera, et cetera. I'd like to pay my bill off. Oh, great, guess what? We take credit cards. Cool. They run it through like that, and instead of it being a 4-day window, you just extended it to 2 weeks. It has no problem at all.
And what I did, since I tied it to my customer, all I have to do is bring up my customer and I know exactly how many invoices I have for.
Exactly, exactly. So we have a couple different ways we can do this scenario. Let's actually do two separate scenarios, one where we use just the quote going back and forth, and one where we actually do some invoices, okay? What I'm going to do is we'll just kind of, so number one, we're going to do this. Okay, we're just going to use quotes to go back and forth, okay? Two, okay, does that make sense? The two different scenarios we're going to kind of use?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so the first one, piece of cake. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to come into Adilas, and we're going to pretend that we are virtually the lunchroom right now. Start a cart. We're going to kind of sit here. This, ideally, if I knew the customer, I could put them. If I didn't, I could just say counter sale. Okay. I'm going to be just using special line items just to kind of like slam some little pieces in there. Okay, so Cheryl, real quick, just for fun, what did you do for lunch? And we're going to keep it really simple, okay?
I had a ham and cheese melt, no, a turkey and cheese melt, and I had a small salad.
Okay, technically you could put these on an individual line items, but just for sake of time, we're just going to kind of crunch it through. Mark, what did you have?
Chicken strips and fries.
Perfect. And I'm going to say that that whole deal was $5.95 for yours. Once again, ideally you probably put this in smaller pieces, but so I'm just using advanced add to cart special line items for building a quick little cart. Okay. Oh, at this point, somebody else came through. Oh no, I started a ticket. Watch this. Save as quote. Okay, now I'm going to help the next little person. Okay, the next person comes through and they actually grab something. They just wanted a brownie. Okay, so I'm going to give one at $1.50 for a brownie. Okay, and I realize I'm typing all this. Ideally, you'd have it set up so that it would be B-R-O-W-N-I-E, brownie. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to check him out, and he's going to pay by Visa, and pretend that I swiped it and actually got a valid number back, create the invoice. He's done, okay? I click here, and I'm like, okay, next. Shanda comes through, and I give her something else. I give her something else. I give her something else. Oh, okay, Madeline, it's your turn. So let's pretend that I ran a couple other carts through. What I would do is I could literally even go like this. Do I have quotes? I don't. Let me go turn on a quick permission, just so I can show you how I would probably do it if it was me. I'm going to go Users, and I'm going to come down here to Brandon. This is a quick search option. I wanted a quick search option for quotes. Right there. Bottom of the page, edit that. So let's pretend that I've already serviced Mark and so-and-so and so-and-so, but I've got two people that are sitting on my ticket, okay? So what I would probably do is, now that it's in my quick search, I would go like this, quote, last. What's my last one? Oh, perfect. You're with the party of so-and-so, right?
Correct.
And I would go like this. Okay, what did you have, ma'am?
Small salad and a chocolate chip cookie.
Perfect.
Balance it out.
Oh, of course, that's perfect. And we're going to say that that was $4 because that cookie was pretty expensive, okay?
Never a lot of chocolate.
It's good.
Okay, so basically you can see how I'm just kind of building this little thing. At any point in time, if I need to, I just hit save, and it virtually saves that little thing. This is temporary. It's kind of like, but I'm able to do something else. It happens in retail all the time. You come up to the cash register, you go, oh, hang on just a second, I forgot I was going to get eggs too, or whatever. You're like, or I forgot my wallet, or oh, just a second, I was going to look at this. And somebody's right behind you, but you're already kind of in the process.
So then your update card must be, if it comes up there and they say, wait a minute, it's not $5.75, it was $5.89.
Okay, no problem.
So
Watch
you
this.
change that and then update.
Yep. So basically what I would do is if I physically have to change a price, I hit edit, which will virtually do it in line. You said it was 5 what?
89.
No problem. $5.89, still taxable, update it. Okay, so in the fly, it already just did that. It's still kind of just, it's in virtual memory right now, okay? The last physical quote that I haven't saved this one. The last quote, which is currently number 7, okay? Basically, if I were to click on it, it would only show 2 items because I haven't saved this yet. So watch this. Quote number 7, only 2 items. I'm just going to hit back because I'm still kind of in the cart mode. And Shannon, what did you have?
I also had a turkey and cheese Wellington salad.
Okay, so watch this. We're just going to kind of
Make 2 of those.
Oh,
Could
good
you
call.
just do that?
Absolutely. 2, now I would have to do an update cart in order to make that stick. Okay, perfect. Thank you. That was
So if you change quantity, then you update.
anything that you make a change on this place, I would have to hit update quantity.
But since when you made the change on
Update
the price, it automatically did it on the.
I left
Well,
that
she did
page.
an edit on it.
I was at a completely separate page,
Okay.
and when I submitted it, when it hit the submit back, it virtually hit the server again. I'll help you out there.
Okay.
It basically helps you out. Okay, oh my goodness, we got a couple other customers, and Brandon still hasn't come through here. I've serviced all 4 of you guys, but I haven't been served. Save the quote. Guess what? Still number 7, but now I have 2, 1, and 1. Okay, so now I can virtually go right here again. Boom, I'm ready to service my next customer. Okay, as soon as I want to pull that back up, last, or if I remember 7, or if I can go to the quote homepage, I could pick. It'd be a piece of cake to kind of figure out which one it was. Hit last. Number 7, restore to cart. Brandon, what did you have? Okay, I had bacon cheeseburger, and this was a $7 burger. Whatever, okay. Add it to the cart. Okay, it looks like your total is $27. Perfect, sounds good. So watch this. As soon as I hit checkout, I'm now going from virtual cart mode into, all right, I'm ready to do this. Okay, cool, how'd you pay for that? We did Visa, and I processed it. Now I realize it looks like we're just doing this all the time. I actually brought all kinds of fun stuff to play with if you really wanted to see how we do real life swiping and all that kind of stuff. All I would have to do is actually go in through the universe level, way up here, and say, this corporation actually has ability to do this. I can't control this on my miniature level here inside my world. It's kind of like the universe has to say, okay, we'll let them play at this extra real live retail swiping cards or accepting credit card level. Okay. So we'll just pretend that we hammered it through there, and I want to just tell them thanks. Just a quick little note. Create the invoice. So the new invoice is number 37. We had 2 of this, 11111, and mine was a really funky sandwich. AJJJ, whatever,
Is a house special.
That's the house special, and that was in French. No, I'm just kidding. So the other thing that's kind of interesting is, watch this. If I hit on the history for this particular piece, this is kind of interesting. Hey, I created the new invoice, and just so you know, it came from quote 7. Okay. If I actually go to quote 7 right here, just so you can kind of see how it's tied in together, and I hit history here, it said, hey, just so you know, at some point at 3/12, it was started for $10. Okay. Oh, then I updated it for 19, and then later I updated it for 27, and just so you know, it ended up being invoice number 37. Okay. We wrapped the whole thing all together for you, and the interesting thing is down here there's even a little link. Hey, would you like to actually see the physical invoice that resulted from this? And so you could click on it, and it would take you right to invoice number 37. The other thing that's kind of interesting is if you go to the quote homepage, which let's go ahead and just go here, it actually even tells you what the new invoice was, like if once it's physically been generated. And you'll also notice that restore to cart won't work now. If I hit restore to cart, but, hey, just so you know, that one's already passed. It's temporary holding spot. You would basically just do some stuff again. Okay. But it's trying to help you, if at all possible, to let you know what's happening. That's scenario 1 that we were talking about right here. Temporarily, we're just going to use a quote back and forth. We're just saving it. A really neat place for this is, say you're doing some prep work for something. Madeline, say you know that you're going to do some consulting for somebody, but you don't technically want to turn it into an invoice because you have to talk to them on issue number XYZ, okay? You prep the whole thing, save it as a quote, okay? Even tied to the customer or whatever. And then you talk to them about this little issue, and you're like, okay, I'm going to charge them $200 instead of the $250. So what you do is you hit restore to cart, you edit that one little thing, create it. You just saved yourself all that time of creating that big old long thing because you just basically said, I'm going to go from quote to invoice. And that's kind of a magic little spot that allows you to do that inside of the map. It's right here. Boom, boom. They all interface with a cart. It just depends on where we store it. This one has a checkout process. This one doesn't, but it can hold everything else. So it's almost a prep step or a save step or just a general, hey, here's your quote. That's what, you know how POs had all those different little things that it does? That's what we use quotes for on the invoice side. It's kind of like, hey, I don't touch inventory, I don't touch receivables, but I hold tons of information and I'm ready to play if you want to play. That's how we run quotes.